Good morning. Hello, hello. All right. I stopped sharing my screen because someone's drawing all over my all over my screen already. How are you guys? Give me a hello in the chat box. Let me know that you guys are here. If you guys are not familiar with how to use Zoom, you should have a chat box down the bottom, so you can type in there and you can say hello. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. Yeah, so just let me know that you're here and you're ready to go. Hopefully, you've got a pen and paper, maybe some water, coffee, and just let me know that you can hear me okay as well. Can everyone hear me okay? Just let me know in the chat box. That would be great. Okay. I'm actually just waiting for a coffee delivery from my beautiful wife. And when we get that coffee coming up, we'll get started. But let me know in the chat box how are we all feeling this morning. I've got an awesome presentation for you guys today, and I'm excited to get stuck into it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Pandora. You can hear me clearly. Perfect. That's awesome. You can hear me and you can see me. That is what we want. All right. So, welcome, George. Welcome, Laura. Welcome, Pandora. Welcome, Rosalind. Hey, guys. We're going to get started in just a minute or two. Just waiting for everyone to roll on in, and then we're going to kick off. I just mentioned, make sure that you've got a pen and paper handy, a journal and a pen, because I'm sure you're going to want to take some notes. And, I want to make this webinar as productive as possible. So I'm going to do my best to give you guys as much value as I possibly can in the next 90 minutes. I'm going to teach you some cool new things. And yeah, it'll be really helpful for you to take some notes and follow along with me. There's a quote that I love, and I always teach my students and my clients. It says, tell me and I'll forget, teach me and I might remember, involve me and I will learn. So I encourage you to be involved with the webinar today. Use your you know, use your brain, use your pen, use your paper, take notes, ask questions as well. Be active in the chat. That's how you're going to get the most out of this, is by being involved in the process. So, with that being said, let's get stuck into it. I am waiting for my wife to deliver me a coffee, and so when I get that, we'll do a little cheers to get started. But just to set some ground rules for today, I'm going to be presenting a presentation, and if you have any questions along the way, just drop them into the chat box, and I will get to them. I'll have pauses and breaks throughout the next 90 minutes so that we can kind of check in, make sure everyone's on the same page, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. One thing I want to do just to start, to get everyone on the same page, is get you to reflect on one intention for today or this week. So, what's an intention? And also something that you're grateful for. So, an intention and a gratitude. So, just take 2 minutes now and let me know in the chat box. For example, my intention for this session is to be present and deliver as much value as possible. And my gratitude is for my beautiful wife, who's going to bring me a coffee in a second. She's the best. So let me know in the chat box, what's your intention and what's your gratitude for the morning? I'm going to talk more about this today, but there's a reason why I'm asking these questions, not just because they're cute questions to ask, but because when we take a moment to reflect and be intentional, what we're really doing is we're actually harnessing the power of our mind. Right? We're bringing the activity of the brain up into the prefrontal cortex. I'm going to talk more about this today. And when you do that, you're actually strengthening those neural pathways, right? You're using your conscious mind and you're being intentional. And when you do that, you're hijacking what's known as the default mode network. right? Now, your default mode network is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's your default mode. So if you're someone who's struggling with a lot of anxiety and you wake up stressed, you wake up with negative thoughts, and every day just feels like a grind, and it's the same thing over and over again, and you're on this hamster wheel, it's like Groundhog Day. Your default mode network is trained into that. So subconsciously, every day you wake up, if it's the same thing over and over again, that's just your default. And you just keep doing it and you do it and you do it and you do it. So when you take 5 minutes or even just 2 minutes to slow down, to be intentional, to think of, you know, how you would like to be in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Here we go. Thank you so much. Cheers, Dal. Love you. When you think about how you'd like to be, over the next 90 minutes or so, it brings the activity in the brain up into the prefrontal cortex. You switch on the conscious mind. Okay. And that makes a huge difference. Okay. Because a lot of people think about affirmations and they think or affirmations or journaling, or it's like, oh, I don't know, that sounds a bit wishy-washy. But when you think about it from this frame or from this context of kind of hacking the default mode, hacking the subconscious and bringing yourself into a state of consciousness, it makes all the difference. You rewire those neural pathways and you actually are intentional with, how you want to show up today, what you're grateful for. And you do that consistently and you start to really rewire the brain. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about regulating the nervous system and a whole lot of other cool stuff. Yeah, let me know in the chat box your intentions. I see Laura. Awesome. Very good. Okay, let's get into it, guys. I'm going to share my screen. So, welcome to the Anxiety to Alignment webinar. Now, before we start, if you do have a coffee or a cheers or something, I want you to grab your coffee and I want you to do a little cheers, okay? So here we go. To the next 90 minutes. Cheers. Cool. All right. Let's get into it. Anxiety to alignment. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Holiday. I'm a meditation teacher and a mindset coach. I run a company called Mind Launch, and I help anxious business owners and professionals to overcome their anxiety, to beat their anxiety, build confidence, and really to become unshakable. So what does that mean? That means that you're able to maintain calm and balance regardless of external circumstances. And we do this by regulating the nervous system, reprogramming the subconscious mind, and having a reset in your identity. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, if you've signed up to this webinar, then there's chances that you've been living with anxiety for longer than you'd like to admit. And maybe it shows up as racing thoughts at 3 a.m., a tight chest when you're trying to relax, or that constant underlying feeling that something's wrong, even when everything's fine. And I want you to know that something important is that you're not broken and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you, right? What you're experiencing is the result of patterns, programs, and protective mechanisms that your mind and body have developed to keep you safe. And the problem is that these mechanisms have outlived their usefulness and they're now holding you back from the calm, clear, and confident life that you deserve. So in today's webinar, I'm going to have a lot of these slides and I'm going to be talking over them, but probably the most value that you're going to get is when I go off on a tangent, and I will go off on a lot of tangents, okay? So be prepared for that. Now, over the past several years, again, I've had the privilege of coaching hundreds of people through this exact journey from chronic anxiety to lasting alignment in their life. And I can tell you with complete certainty, healing is 100% possible for you, right? Now, I've seen so many people completely overcome their anxiety, right? You might not even think that's possible, but I tell you, it is 100% possible to completely overcome your anxiety, right? It does not mean that you will never experience anxiety, because that's impossible as a human. All humans experience certain levels of anxiety from time to time, but you can get to a point where the anxiety does not bother you at all, right? Now, as an example of this, I used to really struggle with anxiety when I was younger, when I was a teenager, right? And kind of in my early 20s, I struggled with anxiety really badly. And so this is one of the reasons why I got into this work. I started meditation, I started self-development because I wanted to get my anxiety under control. I got it under control quite early in my life, right? When I was, in my early 20s, it was all gone. And then I actually thought for the longest time that I was like, I don't have anxiety. I don't get anxiety. I never even get stressed anymore, right? And then I had kids. And then I got married and had kids. And actually, when my first daughter was born, Coco, um, you know, 6 weeks after she was born, we went to lunch up here on the Sunshine Coast in Noosa in the middle of summer. She was born in December, and we went to lunch in February. So it's like the middle of summer. It's so hot up here. We went to a restaurant called Zachary's where they have pizza, and we were sitting there having pizza, and it was so hot in the restaurant. I remember sitting there eating the pizza, thinking, like it's really hot in here. And I looked over to check on Coco, and she was, asleep. But I felt like, okay, I'm gonna just check if she's all right. I went to grab her, and her body was actually limp. And I was like to my wife, oh, we got to get out of here. We got to cool Coco down. She's overheating. Like this is not good. So we got out of there real quick. I basically switched into fight or flight mode straight away. We got out of there really quick. We took all of her clothes off. We calmed her down. Or sorry, we cooled her down. And she got on the boob, had some milk, and we put her in the shower, and she cooled down. And thank God she's okay. But after that experience, I was left with this like chronic feeling of anxiety in that moment, right? So, if you guys have had anxiety before, it's like sometimes you get into these really heightened states, and then afterwards you have a bit of a crash. And so this happened, that's a very normal reason for someone to feel anxiety with what I experienced with Coco. Um, but I had that experience, right? After so long of feeling like I don't have anxiety, I don't get stressed. I had this experience which just, switched it back on. And, you know, again, like I was saying, that's a normal time to have anxiety, right? It's normal for you to feel anxious when something like that happens. The problem for a lot of people is that they're feeling like that all the time when there's nothing wrong, right? And so, anyway, even though I had that experience, and then, we went into, the toddler years, teaching our kids how to eat and stuff like that. I'd become super anxious about them eating, and I'd be worried about them choking and all this kind of stuff. The reason why I'm sharing this with you, though, is because I got to a point where those things didn't bother me anymore. Like it kind of bothered me in the moment, but it wasn't something that was an issue, right? Like it wasn't a real problem for me feeling the anxiety. I was able to feel it without letting it overcome me, without letting it debilitate me. And so that's where I want to help you guys get to. If you're feeling anxious about things that you don't need to be feeling anxious about, or it's something that's affecting your day-to-day life when there's nothing really wrong, that's what we can definitely get rid of. Okay. And so that's kind of what, why I shared that story with you today, because you can definitely heal that and you can definitely get it under control. And this webinar is going to pull back the curtain on our proven and tested approach that has transformed the lives of, hundreds of clients. And I want you to know that it's not a quick fix and it's not a band-aid solution. It's a comprehensive system for rewiring your mind, regulating your nervous system, and creating sustainable change. And by the end of today's webinar, you're going to leave with a roadmap to get your life back and become unshakable within the next 90 days. So, oh no, the picture's not up. I was just going to show you a couple of reviews just from two clients. Kylie is a woman. She's in her 50s. She came to work with me because she was experiencing debilitating anxiety. She had a traumatic experience with her husband. He nearly died. And after that, she got triggered into anxiety, because when you have trauma, it kind of leaves like a timestamp on you. So she had, when I started working with her, I realized that she had some anxiety through her life, through earlier situations that had happened to her as well, but it never became a problem until, this one event with her husband. And then it got really debilitating, and basically her body started shutting down. But that was when she started working with me, right? After working together, we kind of completely healed that. Now she's back into a healthy state of mind. She's with more purpose. She started a new business helping other women, and really got it all under control. There was a picture of Kylie here, but it's obviously not showing right now. Anyway, that's Kylie. I wanted to share that with you because she's a female example of someone, a female in her 50s. And then we've also got Chase, who's a younger guy. So I work with a lot of different people, right? A lot of different business owners and professionals, women, men, different stages of life. Chase he's a business owner. He's in his 30s, and he had lifelong social anxiety, used to carry around Valium just in case he was always scared that he was going to have a panic attack in social settings and stuff like that. Really successful in his business, really switched on, smart guy. But when it comes to relationships, social settings, all that kind of stuff, the anxiety was really holding him back. And he always was afraid of having a panic attack. So he had Valium all the time. Now, through our work together, he has completely removed his medication and he doesn't have Valium anymore. And yeah, he's also gone on to lose a lot of weight. So he's kind of shifted his beliefs around, shifted his mindset around so that he's now someone who actually believes that he is a person who can be healthy and well and fit and sharp in the mind. Whereas before he didn't believe that was who he was. He had an identity that said, I'm just an anxious person. I'm just always going to be a little bit overweight. Like he actually told me that he believed that getting healthy would be a sacrifice to the business, right? Like so he was prioritizing business and professional life over health and well-being, which caused him to get into this position where he was like overweight, super anxious, and not able to hold down any relationships or social, friendships. And obviously, that's not going to be quite a fulfilling life. Anyway, we got all that under control, and now Chase is just killing it. Just wanted to share a couple of reviews with you, just to show the kinds of people that I help before we get stuck into it. But for most people, the reason that you're still anxious isn't because you lack information, right? Everyone knows, everyone essentially gets a good understanding. I wouldn't say everyone knows exactly what to do, but everyone has a pretty good understanding of the problem. I hear it all the time, people trying to reset their vagus nerve. They're trying to use therapy like CBT or EMDR, counseling, talking about the problems. They're trying to implement healthy lifestyle. They're trying to, get their food in check, get their gut health in check, naturopathy and all this kind of stuff. There's so much information out there about how you can, heal anxiety and those kinds of things. It's not because the reason you're still struggling is not because you lack the information, right? Everyone knows. You go to my page, there's just tons of information about how to do it. The problem isn't the information, it's because you lack implementation, right? It's actually doing the work. Who's seen that book by Dr. Nicole LePera, I think her name is? It's called How to Do the Work, right?
Oh,
These books about how to do the work and how to reset the vagus nerve and all this kind of stuff, but they're still stuck. They're still struggling with it. It's because even though you have the information, you're lacking the implementation. Reading a book is not doing the work, right? Doing the work is doing the work. And what that usually looks like is actual behavioral change, changing your habits, changing your lifestyle, learning new skills, right? I'll talk to you about that today. But like I said, at this point, you probably get it. You regulate the nervous system, reset the vagus nerve, reprogram the subconscious mind to change your thought processes, get good sleep, dial in your habits, have a solid routine, all that kind of stuff. The problem isn't knowing what to do, it's actually doing it, right? With support and
put it over
guidance
there so I can do it over here.
to your needs, right? Your ego tells you that you can do it by yourself. And I've heard it all, right? I can do this by myself, or this is my mind. I should be able to do this by myself.
I hate it when I can't do what I want to do.
As many excuses as you can imagine. I've tried it all. I've tried the meditation. I've tried this. I've tried that, right? But if you've tried it all and it still hasn't worked, well, why? Right? If you get honest with yourself and you look at your results over the last few months or even years, and you haven't made any meaningful progress, right? You've got to really ask yourself, well, why haven't I done it? And for most people I talk to, they already know the answer to that as well. Well, I haven't been consistent. I haven't been kept accountable. I haven't. Some people actually don't understand what they're trying to do. So people say, do meditation, do breath work, do this, do that, regulate the nervous system, reprogram the mind. And people are like, okay, cool. What does that actually mean? And how do I actually do that? So people go and try meditation, or they try breath work, right? I'm going to go on a little side tangent here. They try these things and they don't know what they're doing. So for an example of this would be meditation and breath work, right? I'm a meditation teacher, so this is my bread and butter. People try meditation and breath work. They try Calm, apps like Headspace, Leaply. They try all these different things guided meditations on YouTube, or even, breathwork things on YouTube, and they try them once or twice, and they feel like, oh, maybe that gave me some relief, but they don't actually understand what they're doing, right? They don't understand how it works. And so if they try it for like, a few days, and they don't feel like they're doing it, or even worse, they try it, and when they're doing it, their mind is telling them, I'm doing something wrong. Like, this is not right. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how this works. And then they believe that story that they're telling themselves, right? Put a 111 in the chat box if you're familiar with this kind of thing that I'm talking about right now. It's like you feel like you've tried things, but nothing has actually worked. Or you didn't really understand what you were supposed to be doing. Just put a 111 in the chat box if that's familiar for you. Remember, like I said at the start of this webinar, be involved, right? Me just talking at you, it's not going to be it's not going to be as helpful as if you're actually involved. So let me know if you're familiar with this. I've tried these things, but I didn't really understand what I was doing. And I didn't really understand the mechanics of like how the meditation actually works, or how the breath work actually works. And I'll tell you right now, most people do breath work or meditation because they think that the breath work or meditation is supposed to like help them escape their problems. Right? It's like, I'm going to do this and it's going to fix my problems. It's going to make it go away. This mentality is the same as a drug addict, right? It's like a drug addict, like someone who drinks alcohol or smokes pot or cigarettes or whatever. It's like, I'm just going to go and, have a smoke or have a drink, and it's going to relax me, right? And I'm going to just forget about my problems for a second. Right? Or I'm not gonna have to think about it for a second, right? And so when you approach meditation or breath work or something like that with the same mentality of like, I'm just going to do this breath work and it's going to like fix my problems. I'm going to do this meditation, it's going to make my problems go away. But then when you're actually in the process, or you're in that practice, it doesn't go away. And sometimes it actually heightens the feelings, right? Now, this is not wrong. This is actually what's supposed to happen. Meditation and breathwork are about learning to, and I'm just using these as examples, guys, but it's about learning to feel what you're feeling. The problem with anxiety is people are stuck in their head. You have this, you're just stuck in your head. It's overthinking, negative thoughts, and you're just totally controlled by your mind and the thoughts and the stories and the beliefs that you're telling yourself. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm going to have a panic attack, like yada, yada, yada. All of this stuff in your head, okay? With something like a practice of meditation or breathwork, it's not about deleting or removing the problem. It's about getting into your body and allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel. Talk about regulating the nervous system, right? People talk about regulating the nervous system. Everyone's trying to like shove their heads in bowls of ice, right? Which I think it's just so funny, like the stuff people do to regulate their nervous system. Your nervous system is essentially made up of your brain and your spine, and your central nervous system comes out into your body. So the way to actually regulate your nervous system, and write this down, is get into your body. Learn how to feel. Be present, okay? The problem is, if you've ever had a panic attack, or you've ever been scared of having a panic attack or something like that, you're in a situation. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and his problem was like in professional settings when he was in corporate sales, like corporate real estate sales, and he said he was having some anxiety around when he would go into like senior management positions, he would be nervous about the guys that were there, and he would feel inadequate. And so then he would get nervous, and then, he would be scared of having a panic attack. The problem is, like, you start to feel this feeling in your body of like a bit of anxiety or a bit of nervousness or a bit of something like that. And because you don't know how to like navigate through that feeling, you get in your head about it and you start making a story. Oh no, I'm going to have a panic attack. And then that story in your head, oh no, like I'm gonna, something's gonna go wrong, or I'm not gonna make it, or whatever. That story you have in your head sends a signal back down to your body that something is definitely wrong, your body starts to respond like that. You go into the fight or flight mode, and then it's like, okay, now I'm actually experiencing the anxiety and the feeling of being heightened. And then it's like this loop that happens. And now you're thinking, oh shit, see, it's happening. Like, I know it's happening. And then you feel it, and then it's in your head, and then you feel it, and then it's in your head. So you have to learn how to, this is a disconnect between the mind and body. So you have to learn how to actually feel properly. Anyway, that was a massive side tangent, but I hope you guys understand, and I hope that's helpful, right? And when you tell yourself you can do it by yourself, you don't understand some of the things that I'm talking about right now. And so, you try everything, but then you still feel like you're stuck, and then you beat your head against the wall thinking, I know all of this stuff. Why can't I do it? Right? Well, it's because your ego is in the way. So in this class, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to be doing to transform your anxiety into alignment in life once and for all. And hint, it's not supplements, it's not medication, it's not therapy, it's not wearable technology, right? So some people are like getting wearable technology these days, and all these like external things, dunk your head in the cold water. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's kind of cool, but it's not the solution, right? Anxiety is an internal problem, and it needs an internal solution for sustainable change. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys today is I'm going to give you an offer, right? I run a coaching program. I take on 5 new clients every month. I had to change this morning because there was 4 spots available, but then a guy joined yesterday, so there's only 3 spots available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this link in here. You guys can just read all the details about what's involved. If you want to transform your anxiety into alignment over the next 90 days, then check this out. This is a special offer that I've made just for you guys. I've just put the link here in the chat box. You can go and have a read through. It explains everything. And there's also a link down the bottom here to apply. So you can go and click the link and you can apply and put your details down if you're interested. There's 3 spots left for this month. And if you want some more help, then go and check that out. I'm going to walk through all of this today anyway. But I just wanted to share that off with you guys in case you are wanting some more help, right? So go check that out, and then let's get into it, right? So I'm going to go into some more technical stuff now, and I'm going to I told you guys today that I'm going to walk you through the Anxiety to Alignment course, right? So I've got a 6-week course. It's responsible for over 300 anxiety transformations, and I'm going to walk you through each week, in the next hour. Probably, I don't think it'll take me an hour, maybe half an hour, depends on how many side quests I go on. And then we should have some space for Q&A at the end as well. So let me break it down for you high level. You operate on 3 planes of existence, right? You have a mind, you have a body, and you are a spirit, right? So you are a soul, right? You have a mind, you have a body, and you are a spirit or a soul, right? You're an individual, you're a unique expression of, consciousness. That's your spirit, that's your soul. And then you have a mind and you have a body, okay? So all of these aspects of yourself are directly connected. The mind is non-physical, right? So the mind is your thoughts and your beliefs. It's not physical, you can't see it, no one else can see it, it's just in your head, right? And it's not physical, thoughts and beliefs, right? In your head, essentially. The body is physical. So your physiology, your nervous system, right? It's your body. And the spirit is the life force energy that flows through your mind and body. In Eastern philosophy, in the yogic philosophies, they talk about this thing called prana, prana is life force, and prana is the breath, right? So spirit, the word spirit actually comes from the Latin root spire. Spire is like the breath, right? So, and you think about this, when you're born, you inhale, right? Okay, cool. Now I'm alive in the world. Before that, your mum was helping you, with in the womb and everything like that. You're connected to the cord, and so that was that. But then the cord breaks and you start to breathe, right? The first thing that happens is you inhale, and then when you die, at the end of your life, you will have an exhale. Your whole life exists between an inhale and an exhale, and then there's countless more inhales and exhales. But every inhale is like a life coming in, and every exhale is a life going out, right? for life force energy coming in, life force energy going out. Now, the spirit is energetic in its nature, and your emotional state determines your spiritual level. So I'm going to talk about mind, body, and spirit, right? So I hope you guys are here for that. But the spirit is energetic in nature, and it's your emotional state determines your spiritual level, right? You can embody different levels of consciousness by moving into new emotional states. So I'm going to take this real high level stuff, the spiritual stuff, and I'm going to bring it down, ground it into physical reality through your emotions, your body, and your mind. So this is going to be very informative, I promise. Let me give you a quick example. If you are in an emotional state of love, you're in a consciousness of love, you're going to have a totally different experience to someone who is in a consciousness or an emotional state of anger, right? Now, I'm going to talk more about that shortly. But the point here is we all have this emotional spectrum, all the way from shame, guilt, regret, embarrassment, all the way up to joy, peace, and love. And what most people want is they want to experience less of these heavier, denser emotions like anxiety, anger, guilt, shame, regret, and they want to experience more joy, peace, and love. And that's a great thing to work on, okay? But let me break it down on a bit more of a grounded level, right? Your mind directly impacts your body. Your thoughts send electrochemical signals to the body through the nervous system. And different chemicals create different hormonal reactions. So, as an example, if you wake up in the morning and you automatically have anxious thoughts in your mind, these anxious thoughts create fear, like the emotional state of fear, the consciousness of fear, which creates stress. And those thoughts in your mind and those feelings in your body, they create cortisol and adrenaline, right? So you actually have hormonal change, right? Chemical level hormonal change based off thoughts. If you start to have these anxious thoughts and cortisol and adrenaline build in your body, you're going to go into the fight or flight mode. You're going to become heightened and tense, and there's going to be a lot of pressure in your body, and your nervous system is going to be in this heightened state. Whereas if you practice thinking loving thoughts, being intentional, like I said at the start of this, about some loving thoughts and some gratitude, you're going to learn to create more oxytocin and serotonin. Your body's going to rest. Your body's going to be relaxed. Now, excuse me, I need some water. You might not have experienced this straight away this morning, but it's something that you have to practice, right? It's like going to the gym. I went to the gym before this, right? I did some reps. So more reps I do, more muscles I get. It's the same for your brain. More reps you put in with your brain, stronger it gets. There's no quick fix. But one thought can send your body into a fight or flight mode, while the other thought allows your body to feel safe and restful. And more than that, when you get to a place of no thought or present moment awareness, your body automatically relaxes. Now, this is also the spiritual aspect of this, right? When you get to a place of no thought, your body automatically relaxes. Your natural state is peace, okay? I want to give you an example of this, but your natural state of being is peace, and it's calm and it's relaxation. Now, if you don't believe me, you've been living too much in your head, right? If that's not been your experience, you've been living too much in your head, okay? Now, I want to give you a little example of this. So take a moment again, just to reflect on your gratitude and your intention for the day, right? If you didn't do that earlier, do it now. Just write down, okay, what am I grateful for today? And what's my intention for even being here with me right now, right? You're not here to waste time. You're here for a reason, or else you wouldn't be here, right? So what's your intention for being here? And then what's something that you're grateful for? Just take a second to write that down. And again, what we're doing here is we're just switching on the brain. And then what I want you to do is a short little practice with me. you can keep your eyes open or you can close them if you want. But I just want you to kind of relax your body, right? Maybe give it a little shake. Maybe stand up if you're sitting down and just shake your body, shake out your legs. Just shift the energy a little bit, right? And then what I want you to do now is I want you to just pay attention to what's in your room. Become aware of the room that you're sitting in and just very gently scan your awareness through the room and just pay attention to things you can see. Okay? Become aware of what you see. Now, you can put a name to the things that you see or not. You can just be aware of them. But just notice that as you gently scan your awareness around the room, there's not much going on in your mind. It's just a gentle awareness, okay? Just pay attention to how there's not too many thoughts happening right now as you're aware and conscious of your environment. Okay? And then what I want you to do now is just notice how you feel in your body as you are gently scanning your awareness through the room. Pay attention to how you feel as you're just in a state of present moment awareness. What's the feeling in the body? Let me know. Try not to overthink it. Let me know in the chat box. For me, it's calm. I just feel quite calm, right? So let me know. Feel safe. Yep. Laura feels safe. Awesome. Very good. Let me know how you guys feel. You gently scan your awareness through the room and just pay attention to how you feel in your body. Now, this is what I'm sharing with you right now is so powerful when you get it, when it really drops in, when it really lands for you. Pandora feels calm. Very good. When you're in a state of present moment awareness, so you're not in your head thinking about things, but you're just in a state of awareness, the natural feeling is calm and safe. Okay? And I'm not just saying that. I'm asking you to experiment with it and see if you can experience that yourself. Okay? So let me know. How do you feel? Calm, safe? Or even if you just agree with me, put yes. Or if you didn't, if you had a different experience, let me know as well. I'd be interested to hear. If you had a different experience, then the thing is, you're probably stuck in your head. Your ego is trying to figure out what's going on. Like, why am I doing this? What am I supposed to be doing? What's the point of looking at the wall, right? That's the ego and that's the mind trying to be analytical and block you from just being present in the moment. You know, so funny actually. When people start to work with me, like one question I get is sometimes is like, what do you mean be present? Like everyone thinks that they're present, right? Everyone thinks they're pretty conscious and they're pretty self-aware and they're pretty present. But when I ask them to be present, usually they're like, in some cases, for people who are very in their head and very anxious, it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How do you be present? Like, what does this actually mean? Right? And if that's your experience, that is a very good sign that there's some work to do, right? Because this is the skill, right? This is essentially the skill, one of the skills that I teach people is to just be present and be aware. And when you're in this state of present moment awareness, everything feels relaxed and safe and calm. And in this moment, when you're present and you're aware, there's a connection between the mind and body and a clarity. Okay? Now, imagine if you could go into every situation, maybe it's a social setting, your relationships, your business, maybe it's your marriage or something like that, or your relationship with your kids. And imagine if you could walk into these environments with just total present awareness, a total feeling of safe and calm, a total feeling of calm and safety in every environment, right? It's powerful. It's really powerful. And there's a certain level of confidence that comes with that is unmatched by anything else because you're not actually trying to be confident. You just are, right? You just are. You're just here and you're there and you're not in your head making up stories about why they're better than you, or why you're inferior to them, or like why they're pissing you off or whatever. You're just present and you're just in a state of calmness and beingness. This is the solution, right? Okay. So hopefully you guys got a taste of that just then. Because I don't want to just talk at you in this webinar. I want to teach you some stuff. And what we just talked about just then, that's the magic, right? If you can get that, and then again, if you can train that, like if you can train yourself to be in that state, that is the nervous system regulation. That is the reprogramming of the neural pathways in your brain into present moment awareness. There's so many scientific studies that have been done on the benefits of meditation and mindfulness, and how it rewires the brain, how it makes you less emotionally reactive. It makes your brain more coherent, and you're healthier. Like a lot of people with like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. I have someone in my family who's got Alzheimer's, right? He's been doing meditation. He's been calmer. His jitters haven't been as intense. It's my brother-in-law, his dad has got Alzheimer's. He's been doing meditation lately, and people like Alzheimer's, they got the shakes, right? His shakes are way more calm and relaxed. Okay, meditation rewires your mind, and the rewiring of the mind regulates the nervous system. Okay, when the mind is coherent and functioning well, the mind is part of the nervous system. The nervous system is literally made up of the brain and the spine. That's the highway. And then the central nervous system comes out into the body from there. So when the mind is calm and clear and safe and relaxed and coherent, that has a flow-on effect all the way down through the body. Okay? So the state of your nervous system, your thoughts and your beliefs will dictate what you experience. Again, if you are in a state of fear and panic and anxiety or anger or frustration, that's your experience, right? Whereas if you're in this state of calm and safety and relaxation, that's your experience, right? If you are a business professional or a business owner, you know that the people who are the most successful are always the calmest. Like they just have a calmness about them. They have a presence about them. They're just very kind of grounded and stoic, right? Now this is a key. If you live in survival mode and have a general feeling of being unsafe in your body, or worried that you could lose control at any moment, it's always going to feel like you're pushing shit uphill with your anxiety. You won't be able to think properly. You'll always feel foggy. You'll be tired. You'll be fatigued, and you'll barely be able to see past the current day. Your creative thinking will suffer, and you won't be able to be present or think clearly, because you're in this survival mode, constantly on high alert, thinking that there's a threat everywhere when there is no threat. When you finally manage to break out of survival mode, you'll be able to start living in alignment with your true self, and you'll start to really feel safe and comfortable in your own skin. If you go and read some of the reviews that people leave me, a common thread that you will see is people have this experience of getting into more alignment with their values. So what that means is, like, a lot of people are living based off what they think they should be doing. Like, you've been programmed to like, all these things that you should do. I should make money, and I should work, and I should do this, and I should do this, and this is how I should be in my relationship, and it's what I should be doing. And so when you live based off what you think you should be doing, instead of what you would actually love to do, you're gonna suffer, right? You're not gonna feel like you're gonna feel disconnected. You're not gonna feel like you're in alignment. You're gonna feel like a constant pressure because you're trying to meet expectations that aren't even real. Someone else has put them onto you. Again, this is the program or the pattern that you've learned through your life. And not saying it's bad, because at some point it served you, which is why it's there. But as you become an adult, you've got to really start to question, okay, is this the way that I want to be living, right? And what would actually light me up? What would make me feel like I'm in love with my life? That might seem like a bit of a wishy-washy woo-woo thing, but it's one of the most powerful things that people get from working with me when they actually start living their life the way that they want to live their life. And a big part of that, anxiety to alignment, in the beginning, you're going to have to just create a sense of safety in your body, because you can't be creating a beautiful, awesome life for yourself when you're under the constant pressure of stress and anxiety because you're living in survival mode. You don't feel safe. You don't feel calm. You don't feel like confident enough to actually even go and put your foot out there or to do something different. You don't even feel comfortable enough to do that. So the first part is just getting, safe and calm and relaxed in your body. And then once you start to build that confidence up, then you can go and, actually live your life the way that you want to live it. And that for me is just such a beautiful thing. Okay. So you're going to start feeling more peace, presence, and purpose in life. So here we go. Anxiety to alignment, right? Now, let's get stuck into it. I'm going to walk you through the 6-step process now. So I'm literally going to do my best to walk you through as much of the 6 weeks as I can in the next half an hour, right? 7:45. That's good. We're doing it right for time. I feel like we're sweet. Are there any questions so far? Doesn't look like it. Okay. All righty. And I hope you guys don't mind. I'm like a walking paradox, right? An anxious person who's like highly caffeinated and talks really fast. If you guys are, if you guys are like anxious or like ADHD style like me, hopefully you get it. But I'm like a really fast-paced person. And I think that's why I do this work in the first place because I've had to learn how to manage it. I've never been diagnosed with like ADHD or anything like that, but I'm pretty people, people who know me think that I'm definitely like on the spectrum or something. But anyway, I don't never identify with that kind of stuff because I just am as I am. Okay, anxiety to alignment, the foundations, part 1 to 6, right? So there's this is the beginning of this, right? The foundations. There's a field of scientific study called psychoneuroimmunology, which studies how thoughts and emotions influence the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system. You ever notice when you get really, really stressed, usually you get sick, or sometimes you get like physical symptoms? For me, just transparently, when I'm under a lot of stress, I know about it because I get ulcers in my mouth. It's always happened, right? When I get under a lot of stress and I'm not like treating my body right, I'll get these little mouth ulcers and they suck. I hate them so much. I'm pretty good at managing them now and managing my stress levels and stuff like that. But anytime one of them comes up, I know, okay, shit, I need to get back into some balance. Anyway, they found that your thoughts create these electrochemical signals and neurotransmitters and hormones that affect your body's physiological state. This is a scientific field of study. You can go and look it up, right? Your central nervous system, again, I've already mentioned this, is composed of your brain and your spine. So your brain literally sends these signals down to your body, right? This is why it's so important to get the mind clear, like what we just did before, right? Having that moment of no thought, that moment of present moment awareness, that gets your mind clear. And it's like you create this blank canvas. And it's literally like a waterfall comes and washes over your body and just cleans it, right? And so then that's good to do once. But again, you've got to train that skill. Right? Do it all over and over and over again. So with anxiety, we're looking at the thoughts, anxiety to alignment. We're looking at the thoughts, the cognitive process, right? Basically your senses, you're seeing, you're feeling, you're touching, you're hearing, you're smelling. These senses perceive the experiences that you have externally, and then your brain interprets those experiences internally. So we are meaning-making machines. Humans are meaning-making machines. We interpret the things that we experience and then we label it. We give it meaning. This is dangerous. This is exciting. This is good. This is bad, right? So we want to actually learn how to get above that, get into a higher state of consciousness where we can observe ourselves having these thoughts and actually decide or choose to change them, right? So step 2, your thoughts release neurotransmitters, these chemicals and hormones. Your internal thoughts trigger the release of certain chemicals like, either the cortisol, the adrenaline, the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin. Positive, good thoughts equals, serotonin, dopamine, calm, happy state. Negative, bad thoughts equal cortisol, adrenaline, stressed and anxious state. Right? If you're always thinking negative thoughts, you're always going to be in this stressed and anxious state. If you train yourself to change your thoughts, you can start to experience more calm and happiness and feel more empowered. Step 3, your neurotransmitters will activate your nervous system. This is the neurophysiology. The chemicals running through your nervous system impact your physiological experience. So if you've got, all the adrenaline and stress in your system, it's going to equal the sympathetic or fight or flight mode, right? Negative, bad thoughts, anxious thoughts, stressful thoughts. Sympathetic mode of the nervous system, fight or flight. Good thoughts, or even better, no thoughts, equals parasympathetic rest and digest. Okay. Cool. We want to be in the rest and digest stage. We want to be relaxed. We want to be restful. We want to be calm, because when we're like that, we can think clearly and we can make better decisions. Everything becomes better when you're calm. So, how do you find freedom from anxiety without medication or therapy? You have to train your ability to direct your thought processes. So, a perfect example of this, something that's so common, I'm sure everyone can relate to, is when you wake up in the morning, right? For a lot of us, in myself included, sometimes I wake up with anxious thoughts, I get a bit stressed, or like negative thoughts in my mind. If I don't consciously redirect those thoughts, it can have a flow-on effect and fuck with my whole day, right? So if I wake up like that, that's my highest priority, get that under control, right? Then you have to train your ability to process your emotions in a healthy way, because you're always going to have emotions, right? And the goal is not to stop having emotions because that's impossible, right? It's the same, like it's also impossible to actually never think, right? Like the Buddhists, like the monks and stuff like that who are in meditation all day, every day, like we're not going to live like that, let's be honest, right? But you can redirect your thought processes, right? And you can train your ability to process your emotions in a healthy way. So when you do feel emotions, when you feel anxiety, when you feel anger, frustration, you can train yourself to process those emotions in a healthy way, right? You can never stop them completely, but you can train yourself to process them in a healthy way. I'm going to talk about that. You also have to train your nervous system to feel safe and relaxed, and you have to train yourself to stay present, right? When you staying present is like, if you take one thing away from this webinar today, it would be present. Train yourself to be present. Make it a priority to be present. That's like the highest priority. That's the one thing that you can, if you take away from this webinar, only one thing, train yourself to stay present. Right? And if you struggle with that, again, happy to help. Anxiety to alignment. So part 2. So the week 1, we're really just, addressing those foundations of the thought processes and how your body works, how your mind works, because, I know that that's helpful. It's helpful to understand and have education about how your own system works. Because when you have understanding of how your system works, you can start to be more rational when you're having these experiences, as opposed to allowing your emotional mind to hijack the whole system. Now, a quick little side quest. This book here is called Radical Responsibility. Now, in this book, there's a concept which is called the amygdala hijack. So this is like when you get triggered. Put 222 in the chat box if you've ever been triggered. Everyone's obviously been triggered before, but like, are you getting triggered a lot? So put a 222 in the chat box if you get triggered a lot. Okay, what's happening when you're getting triggered is it's called an amygdala hijack. So there's your brain. Oh, nearly lost you guys there for a second. Yeah. So your brain is it's a very complex system, right? And just to break it down simply, you've got this prefrontal cortex, which is the top of the brain, and then you've got more of the limbic brain, which is like your emotional reptilian part of your brain, which is down the back here. And that is really responsible for your emotional responses, threat detection, safety, that kind of stuff. It's your old brain, right? And then the more newly developed brain is the conscious thinking, the intelligence. So when you're getting triggered, it's the amygdala hijack. The amygdala is the threat detection center, and it fires off and it floods your brain full of just, emotion, basically. And so that's why when you get triggered, you're not thinking clearly, you're not thinking rationally, you're not thinking logically, right? When you learn to be present, even when you're triggered, and you train the strength of the muscle of the prefrontal cortex and the conscious mind, you take radical responsibility for your emotions and your experience. It helps you to kind of bring that hijack back down and control it. Bring that trigger back down and stay present. You will always get triggered. I get triggered, right? My wife, my kids, sometimes my clients trigger me, but I don't react. When I get triggered, calm down, I stay present, and I keep it under control, right? I process my emotions in a healthy way. I'm going to talk about how to do that as well in a second. Now, I've got another little gift here for you guys, a little freebie. Mindset. So, free GPT, AI Josh. I cloned myself, guys. I cloned myself into an AI bot. And in this thing, I have uploaded all of the anxiety to alignment materials and the course, and it's trained on my coaching and everything. And if you want it, there it is. You can say, build me a new routine, build me a plan, and you can talk to my AI Josh thingy, and it's super valuable. Again, it's trained on the whole process, so it'll help you build a routine, and it'll help you actually get started with making some changes. So there you go. I've just put it into the chat box. You can grab AI Josh if you want, and it will help you to build a new daily routine to help you go from anxiety to alignment. So that's what we do with my part 2 in the mindset is we help you build a daily routine using the Mind Launch method, right? Now, this daily routine helps you consciously direct your thought processes and start being intentional about what you want to experience and how you're going to respond to life. I talked a little bit about this already today. So I often say to people who are in Mind Launch, this routine is the 20% that creates the 80% of results. So if you're familiar with Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, it states that roughly 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. I've found this to be true with the Mind Launch method. 80% of the results come with 20% of the efforts, and the 20% of effort is implementing the Mind Launch method daily routine. Healing anxiety is not about complexity. It's about doing simple things consistently and well, right? If you, it's the same with like chronic fatigue and stuff like that, anxiety, even depression, I believe. It's like, it's not about complex kind of things. It's about simple things done well and done consistently. Understanding what you're doing and then applying it consistently. It's really simple, okay? This is why we have such a high success rate. And I'm not just saying that, we really do. We have such a high success rate. And it's because I tell people straight up, it's not a quick fix. There's no bullshit here. I'm not trying to sell you some magic quick fix or magic pill, right? It's just daily consistent behaviors that literally will rewire your brain and nervous system. That's the Mind Launch method. So let's talk about the Mind Launch method. Regulate, reprogram, reset. How are we going so far, guys? Give me a 333 if you're still with me. All righty. Pandora, once I had a panic attack on the freeway, so I avoid driving on the freeway. How would I redirect this thought so I can drive on the freeway again? Yeah, I've had a lot of people who have had anxiety about driving before. And what works best for them is, again, I wouldn't go straight to redirecting the thought processes about that. What I would do first is I would focus on creating a sense of safety in your mind and body. Like, you got to really understand this. Your mind and body is literally like a machine, right? And if it's been programmed into a fear and an anxiety about driving, there's going to be neural pathways built around that. The nervous system is going to be familiar with that. And so before I even start to address the driving issues, I would get you on the Mind Launch method routine, and I would get you every single day, maybe even twice a day, building up new neural pathways in your mind, building up the ability to be present, building up the ability to feel safe and calm in your body. I would do that first. And then what I would do is I would encourage you to start small with, with driving. And this is the exact same principle for anything. So like driving would be anything to do with anxiety. A lot of people you've probably heard about exposure therapy. Build the safety in your mind and body first, and then slowly build yourself up to driving and longer distances and on the freeway and stuff like that. Maybe short trips onto the freeway, off the freeway. Like just build yourself, build the sense of safety in your mind and body first, and then slowly push your limits and prove to yourself what is possible. Okay, now this is also true with people on medication. Sometimes people come to work with me, they're on medication for anxiety. I tell them the same thing. Don't come off your medication straight away. I never tell anyone to do that, right? what I say first is build up your safety in your body and your calm and relaxation in your body, your ability to do that, build up your self-confidence. And then when you feel ready to do it, when you feel ready, slowly start to wean yourself off. And also understand that when you do wean yourself off or when you do drive on the freeway, you're going to experience heightened feelings, which is why it's important that you've developed the ability to feel those feelings and navigate through them without spiraling. Okay, so that's what I would suggest, Pandora. But great question. Environmental ADHD. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Got a few others. 333. Your GPT distracted me. It's cool. Yeah, it's actually really really epic little tool there. Okay, so let's talk about the mind launch method, right? Regulate, reprogram, reset. This is a 3-step process, right? Regulate the nervous system first. That is creating that sense of safety in your body, right? That sense of calm, right? In your body, being calm, so powerful. And once you've done that, that's the foundation, right? You need that first. Only from there do you start reprogramming the mind, because now you feel calm, you feel relaxed. Now you can actually address the thought processes, address the beliefs, address, you know, the subconscious patterns and stuff like that, or programs that you've been running for your life. Once you feel relaxed and calm, then you can do that a lot more easily. Okay, so then you reprogram. And finally, we have a reset in your identity. So if you're someone who believes that, oh, I'm just anxiety, this is just how I am, you know, we want to reset that identity and say, well, you don't need to be like that if you don't want to be. You can choose. All right, you can choose your identity. You can choose your personality. You know, believe it. Some people don't believe that. I know it's true. I don't believe it. I just know it's true. Cool. So let's talk about meditation for a second, because meditation is my bread and butter. And you guys had that experience of hopefully present moment awareness before, right? Which makes you feel probably a sense of peace, okay? Or at least neutrality. So this is actually the levels of consciousness. It's from a book by a guy called David Hawkins. I don't know where. Oh, yeah, here we go. So Power versus Force and Letting Go, right? I don't know if you guys have seen these books, but this Power versus Force, this levels of consciousness is from Power versus Force. It's a great book, definitely recommended. And so essentially from levels, you've got these levels of consciousness from enlightenment all the way down to shame, right? Yeah, and what we experience when we're in these levels of consciousness. So when you're living in love, joy, peace, and enlightenment, you have synchronicities and extraordinary outcomes. Who's ever experienced that before? Just like synchronicities, like things just happening, right? And you're like, whoa, that was a crazy coincidence. But when you're in that experience, it feels very alive. It feels very light and kind of in flow, right? That's because you're in these emotional states. Then we've also got, from courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and reason. So reason, this is the understanding. You experience happiness and productivity, right? Now, the above 200 is power. Below 200 is force. So pride, this is the ego, right? Anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. What you experience from 100 to 200 is hyperactivity. So fear, or anxiety, hyperactivity, right? You're just like, hyperactive. Down below that, you fall into depression, guilt, shame, apathy, grief. Now there's inaction. Now you're not doing anything, right? Most of the population live in pride down to shame, 85%. Lots of people in the ego, in the pride, in the anxiety, all these kinds of things. A lot less people live up here. And the bridge to move up into power is courage. You have to have courage. A lot of people, when they come to work with me, the first thing they have to do is actually decide to work with me. And that's the courage. You're making a courageous decision to do something different, to put your ego to the side, right? And then, one of the most beneficial things a lot of people say about working with me is also getting to a place of neutrality. It is what it is. I can go with the flow. I talked to a guy the other day, Tom. He's a business owner up here on the coast. I worked with him in 2024. Now he's a good mate of mine. And I called him the other day. I had a question I wanted to ask him. But anyway, we had a quick discussion. And he told me that he still uses neutrality every single day. And so this state of being of neutrality where it's like, you're neutral. You're not judging things as good or bad. Things just are the way that they are, right? and you're neutral. You're not having judgments or expectations or attachments. So powerful to be like that. And then also, it is what it is. He said this concept of just accepting that it is what it is, right? Like learning how to actually do that and implement that, and it's so powerful. When Tom started working with me, he said he was completely controlled by negative thoughts and emotions. He was triggered. His daughter was he was getting impatient with his daughter. His relationship had just blown up, and all sorts of shit fuckery was happening in Tom's life, right? And after our work together, he was way more calm, way more relaxed. He actually got back with his ex. They got married. They had a kid, and yeah, they have happy families. And Tom he runs a huge business. He has like 100 staff, and so for someone that's operating at that level of productivity, a simple thing like being neutral is something that he said he uses every day. Anyway, with meditation, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get to this point of neutrality, right? Where you just accept things the way that they are. Again, you look around, okay, it is just what it is. I'm in a state of awareness, present moment awareness, where things just are, okay? Powerful stuff. You start to become so much happier and so much more productive when you're in that state, as opposed to living in constant stress and fear when you become hyperactive or just don't do anything. All right, now I'm going to keep rolling on. Here's how we do the mindset reprogramming process. So you can screenshot this if you want. This is mindset reprogramming. You've got your thoughts and your beliefs, which is where we start. We identify your thoughts and beliefs, right? What are the current thoughts and beliefs that you're having? And then we identify the emotions that you're feeling. So what are the feeling states that you're currently most familiar with? And then we actually look at proof. So when you're reprogramming your mind, it's not just about, saying cute little affirmations or, telling yourself that you feel a certain way. You've got to have proof to back it up. You've got to actually have the proof and the evidence. So this is why I'm so big on behavioral change actions, because it creates proof. When you can say to yourself, I've done the mind launch method for the last 30 days, that's the hard proof and evidence that you've done something to change your thoughts and your emotions. And when you've got that evidence and that proof, your RAS, your reticular activating system in your brain, picks it up and will look for more of it. So you can create positive confidence and you can create negative confidence. I always say to people say, I'm not confident. I say, well, you're pretty confident about that, right? You can create positive confidence or negative confidence. Confidence can be pointed in either direction, right? So when you change your thoughts, your emotions, and you have proof that you're doing that, you've actually been taking actions, your reticular activating system picks it all up and it looks for more proof of the same thing. So if you're constantly telling yourself, you're having negative thoughts, you're having negative emotions, and there's negative proof in your life that everything's bad and shit, you're going to have negative confidence. You're going to be like, yeah, look, everything's going to shit. Whereas when you hack it consciously every day, you make a decision to change it, you can move it towards more positive confidence, more positive thoughts, feelings, more positive actions, more confidence, more positive confidence. Cool. Now, the mind launch method is a little bit different. So how do we hack it? Well, we have to start even before the thoughts. We have to develop a connection to our conscious awareness, presence. When you're in presence, again, you're like a blank canvas. And from that blank canvas, you can then start to create thoughts, emotions, proof, positive confidence. All right, so you've got to connect with your consciousness and your presence, okay? Awareness, present moment awareness, self-awareness. It's the key. So how do we do that? Be intentional, right? Make the conscious choice to be intentional with your day. It will activate the prefrontal cortex in your brain. Prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that hacks the default mode network. And the default mode network is exactly that. It's your default mode. It's your automatic response and autopilot, which keeps you living in loops. You can hack that by being intentional, okay? And that's what we work on in week 2. Intention requires conscious effort. If you don't put in the conscious effort to be intentional, you will continue to play out the same default loops you've played out your whole life. And this is why I say you don't need more information. You need implementation. You can transform anxiety to alignment and master your mindset by becoming intentional with how you live your life instead of allowing the subconscious loops to continue playing out. Now, this is also why I filter people who come into Mind Launch, to be honest with you, because if you are coming in and you're not good at consistency or discipline and you're not even willing to develop that skill, it's not going to work. Right? So I turn people away because I'm like, nah, you're not gonna be a good fit. You have to be able to be consistent and disciplined, right? Because so I often ask people when they start working with me, I'm like, okay, do you go to the gym? Like, what's your lifestyle like? Because people who are lazy, they're not gonna do well with this method. And I'm just telling you the truth, right? People who are lazy are not going to do well with this method. So I don't even bother, right? That's also why I have such good results because I only choose people to work with who I know are actually going to be able to put in the work. Okay? Because you have to put in the work. There's no substitute for doing the work. Okay, now part 3 is healing, right? Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making on their journey to beat anxiety is a focus on completely eradicating negative experiences or really having resentment towards negative experiences, really resisting negative experiences. When you're on the healing journey, it's not about completely avoiding negativity at all. That's not true. People think, people on Instagram, oh, healing's just like woo woo, like you gotta be positive all the time. No, it's actually not about that at all. It's not about completely avoiding negativity. It's about learning to navigate life's challenges with a certain level of neutrality and balance. Something good happens, great. Something bad happens, cool, right? What you resist will persist. If you're resisting your anxiety, this is the thing that gets most people stuck. You resist your anxiety. You want to fight against it. And you want to say, I don't want that thing. And so it stays there. It's a paradox. But what you resist persists. When you stop resisting it, it actually goes away. It just dissolves, right? So once we've moved through the first 2 weeks of the program and you've developed some good routines, a clear plan to regulate your nervous system, then we start to focus on reprogramming the subconscious mind and processing any unresolved emotional issues because the emotional issues do create a bit of a problem, right? Now, there is a free training on my website that will give you an experience of how we do that. You can also grab that here. I'll put the link in here. You guys are just getting all the goodies, okay? There is the free training on the powerful healing system, right? This is, again, a free training, really helpful. It will give you a breakthrough. I don't just say that, I really believe it because I've shared it with so many people and they've told me, oh my God, that was so crazy. Like I had a crazy experience with that. So you can go and try that out to get a bit more of a feel for the anxiety, the healing work. And I won't dive too much into the healing work on the webinar because, again, it's a very personal thing and everyone has their own experiences. I've also found the healing process works best when I'm guiding people through it in a one-on-one setting. Doesn't always need to be like that. I've had a lot of people who've just taken themselves through it and they've had a breakthrough, but sometimes people don't really get it or they don't understand what they're trying to do or they feel like they don't have any memories or they're, sometimes people have this thought, which is like, oh, I didn't have any trauma, right? Like I had a good childhood. Everyone has some level of emotional trauma. I'm telling you, it doesn't need to be some kind of big complex thing. Like complex PTSD is different, right? If you saw someone die in front of you, or like if you got raped or something like that, it's different, right? But everyone has some kind of general emotional trauma, or I also like to call it just an emotional imprint, right? So, yeah, trauma doesn't need to be some big thing that happened like most people think. If it's complex, then that could be the case. But it can also just be small, seemingly insignificant things that create an emotional imprint. And again, you are an energetic being. Your emotions leave an imprint. It's like a timestamp and it's printed onto your nervous system. Why is my thing not working? Yeah. So like, for example, I talked to a guy, one of my clients the other day. He said we were doing some of this work. He had some insecurities around relationships, and we did some of this work, and we went back to a time in school where he got his pants pulled down, and kind of insignificant, not that big of a deal, but the shame that he felt in that moment and the embarrassment that he felt in that moment, surrounded by a group of his friends and people at school with his pants down, shame and embarrassment, right? Humiliation. It's an imprint on the nervous system, creates an insecurity. I'm sure you can understand that, right? So for a lot of people with anxiety, it's usually something that made you feel unsafe, alone, neglected, not good enough, embarrassed, ashamed, humiliated, right? Leaves an impact. What is this? Why is that not working? I don't know. What's week 5? Week 4. Oh, I actually want to show that. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm just going to have to try something different. Adolf. Yeah. All right. Hold on, guys. I'm just going to get this image up because for some reason it didn't work, but I really want to show you because it's cool. I just have to find it. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into the Mind Launch platform because I know it's in there. Okay, so we just talked about healing. Now we're going to talk about week 4, which is acceptance, right? So this is actually in the Mind Launch platform, but here's the image. Can you all see that okay? Just give me a 444 if you can see that okay. Okay, cool. So we're talking about healing, we're talking about your emotions, and we're talking about acceptance. There's really kind of 3 levels to this, right? And things that different people do. Now, some people, a lot of people suppress their emotions. So suppression can look like avoidance, escapism, drinking, drugs, alcohol, anything like that, porn, lying. Some people are liars, right? And it's not a bad thing. They're not bad people if they're lying. Usually it's all of this stuff it's just again protective mechanisms. So they've learned to lie because maybe at some point earlier in their life, it wasn't safe to tell the truth or to be who they are. And so they learned a program which is just lie, just suppress it, don't tell people, right? But that's also true for drinking, drugs, alcohol. Any form of like addiction is suppression, right? It's emotional suppression. Now, we don't want to do suppression because suppression, it ends up making you like a stick of dynamite. And the more shit that you suppress, the more gunpowder goes into the stick of dynamite, which is your body. And then when you get triggered, it explodes, right? Who's familiar with that? 555. You feel like a stick of dynamite just packed full of gunpowder. And, something triggers you and you explode. Can you guys hear that behind me or not? Can you hear anything apart from my voice or no? Just let me know because some guys just started on the bloody hedge trimmer outside. Okay, all good. I'll just have to deal with it. So we don't want to suppress, right? We don't want to suppress because it becomes like a stick of dynamite, and then it just takes the smallest little trigger and you can blow up, right? I'm sure you guys would know about either yourself doing this or people in your life. Like at least 1 or 2 people who are like this, right? They suppress everything and then they just fucking blow up, and it's not good for anyone, right? So then the next level up, we have expression. So when we're expressing our emotions. Now, the thing with expression, people think it's really good, like we should talk about our stuff and all the rest of it. And it kind of is, but it's also not the ultimate aim of the game. And the thing with expression is it can be done in a healthy way, and it can also be done in an unhealthy way. So when you're expressing, but if you're blaming, projecting, or pointing the finger at others, that is not good expression. Gossiping, blaming, pointing the finger, that kind of stuff is not good. Do not blame others. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help them. And actually, when you blame others, it's very unhealthy expression. And also, it puts you in a disempowered state. Even if you think it's true and you want to blame them, I'm telling you right now, your ego will want to do that. Like they fucking did this to me, right? Like narcissists, like, people who are constantly like, blaming the narcissists, it just doesn't help them and it keeps them in a victim mentality. If you instead took ownership of your experience and said, okay, well, why did I actually attract a narcissist into my life? That's a way more productive way to be. Taking responsibility. Again, this book here I shared before, responsibility. Taking responsibility. So healthy expression, it looks like that. It looks like ownership. This happened, this happened to me, or taking accountability and taking responsibility. That's healthy expression. So talking about your issues, but talking about it from a frame of I. this happened to me, I did this, I experienced this, right? And not blaming others, saying they did this, they did that, right? Taking responsibility, and not just responsibility, radical responsibility. Okay? I'm telling you right now, you might not want to. When I was younger, I didn't. When I was younger, I blamed my parents, I blamed school, I blamed my teachers, I blamed the world. I hated it, like everyone, and I was like a really angry kid, right? In my teenage years, early 20s, I was in trouble with the police a lot, and I was blaming everyone, and I was so righteous. And those were the worst years of my life. When I learned to take responsibility for my shit, everything changed. Okay? And so the aim of the game, the ultimate aim of the game is to move up to acceptance. You accept what is, right? It is what it is. I accept it and I'm processing my emotions in a healthy way and I'm taking responsibility and I'm taking accountability for my experience. That is the best thing that you can do. Again, blaming others is a total waste of time. As much as it probably feels good for you to blame others, I'm telling you, it's not going to help you in any way. It might give you a temporary relief because you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to blame this person and they did this to me and all the rest of it. But I'm telling you, it's just not going to help you at all. So, anxiety to alignment, the final couple of weeks, week 5 and 6, acceptance is week 4. The final couple of weeks here, 5 and 6, self-mastery and social upgrades. By the end of the anxiety to alignment system, you've learned the tools you need to build mastery of yourself and upgrade your social life and your relationships, right? This is towards the end. You've got self-mastery and now you're upgrading your social life. Your relationships are getting better. You're more present. You're more connected. You're more confident. The final couple of weeks are just about getting into alignment with your personal values and learning to communicate openly and honestly without self-judgment, right? This might seem hard right now if you've been used to suppressing your true self and hiding parts of yourself, but by the end of the program, it just comes naturally, right? Now, quick note on like vulnerability, because I know a lot of people have trouble with being vulnerable. Don't be vulnerable. Reframe it. Be honest. This is a massive key takeaway. People don't want to be vulnerable because vulnerability has this sense of weakness. So don't be vulnerable. Just be honest. That's all you need to do. A true sign of spiritual development and self-development is transparency. How clear are you? How honest are you? You'll notice in this webinar today, I've shared a lot of personal stories, right? I've shared how I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in the past, right? But I'm honest about it. Okay? When you have honesty and you feel okay to share your truth, you feel safe enough to do that, confidence just comes naturally. People can only fuck with you if you believe what they're saying and if you're hiding things yourself. When you become clear and transparent and honest, and you are willing to just share, what's going on for you, it takes away this weird sense of importance that you need to pretend to be someone that you're not. Okay? And that's what alignment really looks like. And so, yeah, spiritual growth is not like charging up your crystals and sniffing incense. It's being honest, right? And this is the no bullshit kind of, approach that I take. So what do we got next? Yeah, this is this exact system we've used to help 300 and counting business owners and professionals go from anxiety to alignment. It's 8:20. We're nearly there, guys. That's it. I've just shared with you the process, how it all works, as much as I could possibly share in a 90-minute webinar. And again, I've got an offer running right now for you guys. It's a special offer. There's 3 spots available. Every month I take on 5 new clients. I've already had 2 new people come on. It was 4 yesterday, but a new guy joined yesterday afternoon. So now there's just 3 spots. But if you want this, I'll share the link. Have a read through this offer. No pressure from me either, by the way. I'm just sharing this with you guys because if you want it, then, you can join. There's 3 spots available. And I'm serious about that. It's not just like a marketing gimmick. I help everyone myself, right? I'm a one-man show, and I do have a real limit on my time. And I already am serving, I've got about 30 clients in Mind Launch right now. And, there's a real limit on my time. So I do only take on 5 new people per month, and we've already had 2 come on this month, so there's 3 spots left. I've just shared this document in the chat box, so go and have a read of that. And if it sounds like a good fit for you, everything's in there that you need to know. Then you can click this button, you can apply to join the program. I'll review your application today, and then if you're successful, we can talk about getting you on board. And that's it. So the anxiety to alignment arc, if you want to get this stuff under control over the next 90 days, that's the system. That's how I can help. If you want more help, go check out the document that I just sent you. Cool. Final piece is Q&A. Are there any questions, guys? Just pop them into the chat box, and I will get to them. Yeah. Q&A. Let's go. Don't be shy. Any questions from that? Thank you guys for being here with me, by the way. I appreciate your time so much. I did my best to give you guys as much value as possible. And yeah, now if you do have any questions about any part of that, then let me know, and I will do my best to answer them with as much thoughtful love and care as I possibly can. Laura, only question, can you give us a meditation? Yeah, I can give you a short meditation. I won't do it right now though, because I'll see if there's any other questions that people have. And if there's no questions, if there's no other questions, I'll give a little short meditation to end this session. You don't need to do it if you don't want to, but I can do a short little meditation to kind of close out the session. But first, yeah, let me know if there's any other questions. I'm not going to jump into that right now. But no worries. Thanks, Laura. Any other questions, guys? No questions, eh? All right. Cool. What have we got here? Thanks for being here, guys. Amanda, Tanya, Haley, Laura, Pandora, Cal. Awesome. Yeah, Amanda, if you check out that document, I just put it into the chat box. All the costs, the prices, the investments and stuff like that, it's on the document. So if you go to the document and you read the document, prices are all in there, so you can just check it out. And then there's a link to apply as well. So that's all there, super transparent for you guys. Thank you. You're very thorough. Yep. Cool. Awesome. Very good. Any other questions, guys? And feel free to ask personal questions about, your anxiety, your experience. I think it was Pandora maybe, or Laura, or someone was asking about the driving before. And I can give really thorough answers to that as well. Cool. If there is no questions and you want a short little meditation, I'll do one, right? I love meditation, right? It's the best thing in the world. And I know that a lot of the information that you've received today is probably going to be really helpful. However, like I said, information doesn't help you fix anxiety. What helps you actually heal your anxiety is integration and implementation. Okay? So we can do a little meditation for a bit of integration. Meditation, integration. How does that sound? All right. First of all, just stand up for a second and just shake it out. We've been sitting down for 90 minutes, or I've actually been standing up, but even still, just move your body a little bit. Take a deep breath. Take a couple of deep breaths. Just get the energy moving in the body again, right? Sitting down for too long is not good, right? You want to move the body. And you can do that by actually just like shaking it out or taking a few deep breaths. Right? When you're breathing, breathe down into your belly, right? Deep belly diaphragmatic breaths. Cool. Now, once you've done that, just relax back into your chair, or if you're standing up, you can just relax your body. Relax back into your chair, relax your body. Close down your eyes. And just start by taking a breath in through your nose and allow yourself to follow the breath down to your belly, down into your body. And as you exhale, just notice how your body relaxes and softens. Breathing in and breathing out. Cool. Now, as we begin, I want you to become aware of the muscles in your face. So just notice any tension that you might be holding in your face, around your forehead, around your brows, your cheekbones, your jaw. And as you continue with your gentle breathing, on each exhale, see if you can allow your face to melt. Imagine yourself melting like a stick of butter in the sun. And allow yourself to melt down through the shoulders, moving your awareness through your body and just relaxing any tension that you're holding at all in your body, all the way down to your belly, maybe your bum, your hips, your feet, or your legs. We're just going to start by just washing over the body with relaxation. And just notice how you can do this. Simply by scanning your awareness through your body, you can just relax in an instant. Okay, now take a deep breath and relax. And I wonder how long you can stay in present moment awareness. I wonder how long you can stay in present moment awareness. Whatever arises in your consciousness, whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions arise in your mind, just watch them. Be aware of them in the same way that you would be aware of the walls in your room. You just see it without making a story about it. You just see your thoughts without attaching to them. You see the experience that you're having in your body without attaching to it. It just is. Breathe in and let it all go as you exhale. One more breath in, big breath in. And let it all go. Just bring your awareness back into your body, to your fingers, to your toes. Take a sigh. Take a moment of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Truly grateful for right now in this moment. Take a deep breath in and then let it go. When you're ready, you can gently open up your eyes. Just a short little meditation for you guys today. Sometimes that's all it takes, right? Don't get me wrong, I think long meditations are great. I've done a lot of retreats myself for multiple days in a row, and they're awesome. You can go so deep. But the magic is in the present moment, right? And so a short practice like that helps you to become present, helps you to feel a bit more relaxed in your body. And that's all you need, right? Practice that consistently and apply yourself, and I promise you, your anxiety will disappear. Cool. So that's it, guys. Haley, yeah, you can definitely share the replay with a friend. I will be sending it out a bit later today to the people who have registered. So if you've registered, you're here, obviously, you'll be getting the replay. Yeah, and I'll also send through the PDF document with some of those resources and tools that I shared today. So you can check all that out as well. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. If there's no other questions, then we'll call it. All right. Have an awesome day, guys. What day is it? Thursday. Awesome. Have a great day, and I will see you all soon. Bye.